No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Oh,
I've seen some stuff about the new Resident Evil, so I'm not quite sure what your.
they added microtransactions.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I did see that.
And the way
But
I saw there was microtransactions was uh well I've told you I've used to be in a Team Fortress 2 competitive team.
yeah, you've talked about that before.
I still have a couple of my old teammates, and one of them that was on the younger and more impulsive and edgy side that I haven't really talked to since he went on kind of a semi-racist rant on our last team meeting, but I never really dropped him. I saw that he bought like 3 or 4 of the packs. I dropped like $10 on it,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Wait, what is this?" But then I saw the Gymquisition this week.
Yep. I did see that. There was some other stuff about it too. Changes in the things that they did when they in the remake itself. There was some hullabaloo about that.
Yeah, basically making the game more grounded.
Yeah, more kind of serious and in some ways like going for that kind of realism vector.
Hmm.
Most of what I saw were people complaining about it because one of the things that people love so much about Resident Evil 4 is how kind of silly it is.
So yeah, Ugh.
Yeah. Even though I'm old enough to have played Resident Evil since kind of its inception, um, I really didn't get into the series until Resident Evil 5.
I've never really gotten into the series. It just never was my jam.
Yeah.
But I definitely understand people being pissed about them adding this.
Oh yeah, 100%. But like I've gone back and played Resident Evil 4. I don't see what's so uh like what gives it that cult appeal, but I understand it's like it's very personal, you know.
I think it's a product of the times.
I think so too.
Sort of like how when we tried to go back and play Shadow of the Colossus,
Yeah. But
there's just some things that if you even trying to stay in that mindset of uh, it's not the current year, it's the past year. It's tough to go back for some things,
yeah, I mean you can't undo your own experiences.
and that's kind of sometimes the problem with looking back on some of these games is, whew, that gaming has come a long way in our lifetimes, particularly mine, because when I was born, the high tech gaming was, oh my god, there's a dot moving on the screen.
Right. Yep, I am a decent a few years younger than you.
Yeah, which you're still should be getting off my lawn.
Right. Let me just move my creaky old bones and I'll get going, sir. I got almost everything primered. Everything got one layer of primer, not everything got two yet.
Oh, I guess we should have done a discovery queue.
No, I was starting to fade. You might have noticed with my extra long pauses as I'm like, come on, brain.
Oh, me,
Um,
I was just having uh, coughing fits.
difficulties with your lungs.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, my neck hurts. I think it's from that fall the other day. Hasn't still hasn't quite healed itself all the way.
Well, maybe you should hit another deer to correct it.
I'll do that. Maybe it'll fix the dents in my car. Undamage them.
What a ever living fuck. Since we haven't had political stuff on our Fraken content, I went over to Reddit and r/politics popped up. Trump mocked for claiming New York City courthouse staff were crying when he was arrested.
Okay, sure.
What the fuck?
All right.
U.S. politics is weird.
Yes. Post all those things down.
Although I gotta admit, this one did make me laugh. Anti-groomer Republican accused of inappropriate relationship with intern.
All right. Okay. There's my save done on that. Should probably say bye bye.
Well, I just stopped my recording.
I'm
Oh, where is
gonna
that?
stop Craig. Hello, Craig.
Hello, Craig.
So anyway, I started blasting. No Ted Cruz punching or kicking or punting happened.
Oh, I
Yeah.
watched the news eagerly.
I didn't see any politicians, at least not any that I recognized or knew.
Oh, just I could only imagine if you ran into Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've seen her latest dumb fuckery, right?
Oh, you're gonna have to be more specific. She's done several dumb things
Uh,
recently. Which,
calling
which?
calling for the divorce of the United States, red and blue states basically breaking apart.
Nope, I hadn't seen that one.
Oh, right.
I mean,
I live in a
you
red state. We would become a third world country.
Tennessee is right there on the line. They have some years where they just barely make enough to not need federal aid, and some years where they don't. Like, Tennessee's right on the borderline of being self-sustaining as a state,
Well,
which is
West Virginia
interesting.
is in a weird state where they're so busy building this rainy day fund that they don't do any social services or anything. I mean, the roads are absolutely horrendous. So, yeah, they build up this coffer, which I'm convinced is not there.
Yeah, like it's someone's slush fund or something, and
It's that uh, Jim Justice bought a bunch of Trump NFTs. That's my theory on it.
right.
Because he wanted to go meet his hero.
It was very so, for the listener, you're aware of this. But for the listener, I was in DC over the weekend. There was this sort of play, sort of educational thing that was put on for C.S. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
What I think I explained this to you, but for anyone listening, C.S. Lewis, if you don't know, is an author. He did do a lot of Christian allegory writing. He's most well known for the Chronicles of Narnia, although he also wrote the Screw Tape Letters. He wrote a number of sort of philosophical, religious. Textbook is not quite right, but they weren't fictional. They were more like, you know, hypothetical pontification kind of stuff. I mean, he is a theist, but there's more to his work than just, God am real, everyone else are dumb. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with everything and all of his points, but he is able to talk about it in a way that doesn't come across, at least in what I've read, as, condescending towards other religions or non-Christian people. And so they put on, if this was like a 4-hour production, there were 2 intermissions. And it was a play of The Horse and His Boy, which is one of the Chronicles of Narnia stories, mixed in with some dramatic readings of the Screw Tape Letters, as well as some educational stuff, some mini biography stuff about his life.
Yeah,
This
I
is a
can't
thing
tell if
that
I'd be reaching for the suicide pill or not.
um the production of A Horse and His Boy was amazing. Like, it was done by, I don't want to sound like an asshole, like legit theater people. Like, I've been to a lot of community theater events and they're fun. Certainly all of those people are more talented than I ever could be to get up on a stage and act, right? But this was on a whole other level. These were like capital T thespians. So that production was phenomenal. Some of the rest of it, there were some boring bits, but I enjoyed it. But like, we won tickets to this event. We found out about it through my kid's school, and we entered. It's like one of those things of like, we'll enter this dumb competition. We won't win. Well, we won, and so we made a whole trip to DC around this entire little event that we did. But we saw some other stuff. It was weird to be in a city, though, that has a functional public transit system. Because when my neck of the woods, there ain't one. The three biggest cities in Tennessee, Nashville, Memphis, and Chattanooga, have got barely functionable public transportation systems. And like we got unlimited metro passes, and we just rode the subway and the buses around town everywhere for 3 days.
Yeah, my sister-in-law went to DC a couple months ago
Yeah.
for a Girl Scout thing. And she was just texting Anita over and over again about how amazing this metro system is.
Yeah.
So it's just, it'd be nice to have some public transportation, huh?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some public transportation.
I mean, there's a bus system here, and it's okay, but the segment I'm on only runs 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 hours between trips. So if I had to rely on it for like errands, oh boy, right?
Yeah. The Chattanooga area would benefit from a good public transit system. It would a more robust busing system, as well as trains that go from Chattanooga to the other
Yeah, they could even
larger
name it the
population
Chattanooga
areas.
Choo-Choo.
I've been to the Chattanooga Choo Choo. It's really nice. I mean, it's all a museum basically.
But let's be honest here. We're talking about building infrastructure that isn't related to cars.
Yep.
It might actually have a positive environmental benefit. And we both live in very red states. No way in fuck that's happening.
Nope. Yeah, we're talking about building public infrastructure that would create jobs.
Oh no, it might actually impact. Even worse, Jared. It might help black people.
And in my area, Mexicans.
Oh no.
Yeah,
other black people.
My state is too busy passing anti-trans bills and further criminalizing abortion to do something that would be helpful for people or the environment.
I just passed open carry on college campuses.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, because we don't need to worry about college shootings that are happening all over the place. No reason to have a red flag whenever somebody's walking around with a gun, right?
No, definitely. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is another bad guy with a gun.
Wait, are you talking about the cops? You're talking about the cops, aren't you?
Correct. Well done. You picked up on the political satire I was doing there.
I so want to get you know how they have the Joe Biden I did that stickers?
Yeah.
You know what I want to get?
What?
Every time I see somebody with the thin blue line sticker or flag or whatever, I want to smack on their bumper a bootlicker sticker.
Ooh, nice. That's good. I want to do that.
Oh, I just gave you a bad idea, didn't I?
You gave me a good idea. Got to see a protest. I told you that.
Yeah, which seemed very confused about where it wanted to be.
Yes. Oh my God. So on Sunday morning, we were at the Lincoln Memorial, doing the touristy thing, taking pictures of the monuments. Everything is open 7 days a week, but it's open 10 to 5. Like everything, all the museums, the mall, or not the malls, the shops, like a lot of the restaurants as well, 10 to 5. So we were there in the morning. We were hitting up the monuments and checking out like the World War II memorial and the Vietnam memorial.
George Washington's penis.
Seeing George Washington's penis, checking out Abraham Lincoln's giant balls on his chair, all that jazz. And there was this protest that was gathering in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and around 10, 11 o'clock, they kicked off their, revelry. And it was Rage Against the War Machine was the protest.
Oh,
And they
I bet I know a
protested.
band that's going to be pissed.
Yeah, they protested all day, wandering around the city, and eventually wound up in front of the White House about the time that we were there taking, some pictures before we essentially left to
Maybe
pack.
they're
And
the senile ones.
yeah, but they are. I did some digging. They're such a confusing protest group. I don't know. The cynic in me that's seen so much over the last almost 8 years now. Um, after the Trump administration, or beginning with the Trump administration, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, this feels like a hate group masquerading as peace protesters, because it's somewhere between 25 and 30% hardcore conservative, right wingers, um, that are only like maybe one step away from QAnon people that are, chanting "Let's go, Brandon" and holding up like Joe Biden is senile
Meanwhile, they're the
posters.
ones wandering around the city.
And there's like maybe another 30 or 40% of them that are leftists that seem like they're trying to temper and direct like all of this hatred at anti-war stuff. And it's like, that's not how that works. It's like, that's what they thought they could do with the Nazis, and we see how that turned out. But, they were chanting like, the chants were going back and forth between like, "Let's go, Brandon," and "We are the post-Roe generation," and
Oh boy! Right.
"No more war," and some real hippie shit like, what was it? Peace, give peace a chance, and Rage Against the War Machine. They would like shout statistics about how many deaths have happened in the Iraq and the Ukraine war that were like civilian deaths, and yeah, they were all over the place. Both literally in terms of wandering the city and metaphorically in the messages that they were shouting.
Just dumb.
Yeah. But like, I mean, they were big enough that they made several national news outlets.
Mm.
Like the protests were, or demonstrations or whatever. We left. The DC Metro Police, once they got to the White House, the DC Metro Police showed up and they like blocked off a couple of streets. And we were like, okay, it's time for us to go. We don't want to get caught in this if something's going to happen. We want to go home. But it was an experience. I want to go back. We only went to like 3 or 4 things, and we didn't see everything at all of them. Like, we went to the National Air and Space Museum, went to the National Archives, and then the Museum of Natural History. And there was still so much we didn't get to see. And then I went to see, I actually went to the Holocaust Museum.
Oof. Right.
Yeah. Yep. But,
That's a very sobering place. I've
yeah.
seen bits and pieces of it. I've never been, obviously.
It took me about 3 hours to go through all the museum exhibits. And yeah, it is. It's very sobering. There's a lot of Holocaust history that I'm very familiar with. I, as someone who has an interest in World War II, like, that was kind of what got me interested in history in the first place, was World War II. And you start out with, air quotes, the cool stuff, like ships and battles and aircraft. And then it's like, oh, right, these were human beings. These are the war stories. Oh, there's this Holocaust thing. Oh, God. I was familiar with the Holocaust, beyond just like knowing what it was. But it's different to go somewhere that they've got, like piles of shoes, and like, the actual literal like shoes from when they got to the camps, and they were, after they killed people, they stripped their bodies and, took everything. Exhibits like talking about stuff like, there's some stuff that is grotesque as it is. You can kind of think of it or picture it, death camps, firing squads, mass graves, like all of that stuff is terrible, but you can kind of think of it. But, and I didn't know this till I was there, but so usually whenever people would get to the concentration camps, either before they were executed or right after, they would have their heads shaved. Men, women, children, they'd have their heads shaved. I never thought, well, what did they do with the hair? They fucking sold it. That's what they did with it. And it was
Yeah.
made into like clothing and furniture and like stuffing for mattresses and pillows.
I know. I want to say it was the History Channel back when it was the Hitler Channel before it became Pawn Star Channel or whatever they're running 24/7 now.
Aliens.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. They highlighted some of the stuff that they did during the Holocaust, and the one that stuck out to me is people that had interesting or well done tattoos. They would actually skin them after they were executed and make, like lamps and stuff out of it.
Yeah, there was some stuff that mentioned that. They didn't have any skin, but they did have. Well, they didn't have piles of hair, but they had bags full of. I think it was animal hair, and like there was a little thing next to it. It's like, this is not actual human hair. This is just a representation of what it would have been like to see, these pallets of human hair that were shipped out to clothing and furniture companies or manufacturers. But it's like, things like that. There were a bunch of things like that. It was like, oh, I never thought of that. I feel awful. Although, I mean, honestly, the Holocaust Museum was one of the best experiences of the trip for me. Like, not that it was fun. I don't mean that, but I mean, it is sobering. And there are, and I was aware of this, right? This wasn't new to me, but there are so many similarities between the MAGA party and Nazis. Like, so many.
Just going through it, you just can't help but draw the parallels, huh?
Yeah. And for me, it was like, oh shit, like, we got real close, and like the danger is still there. Trans people, the LGBTQ community, but especially trans people, seem to be being given that label, and we're 2 steps away, maybe even 1 step away from some kind of mass extermination, mass whatever on trans people. And I hope it doesn't come to pass. And like, I'm actively doing what I can to fight against those bills in my state, but realistically, no, they don't give a fuck. They don't care what I have to say. It'll all come down probably
because
to,
you don't have Jeebus.
I don't have Jeebus. So yeah. But so much to see, so much to do.
Yeah,
we're gonna go back.
Go to the Holocaust Museum at some point. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those days. If I get to go, I'm definitely going to have to plan something. I don't want to say fun afterwards, but something cheerful afterwards. How about that?
Yep. Yeah, I went in the morning by myself, and then got lunch and kind of rode the train around for a while, because riding the train made me happy. So I just rode the train and listened to some music and like kind of thought about the experience. It was good. To anyone who's never been, if you get the opportunity to go, all of those things are free. Following COVID, they not everywhere, but a lot of places, you start having to get tickets or passes. They're free, but you just have to get them. Then it's a way to help manage how many people are inside of those locations at once. I would imagine that those are probably never going to go away. But you can get them day of. If you try to do it day of, there's no guarantee like what time you're going to be able to get in. But like, we were able to go to anything that we wanted to. It just was like, well, we got, the pass that we have available to go here is in the morning, or this one is in the afternoon. But you can also get them ahead of time. So all of that stuff is free. The Metro line, it's $50 for an unlimited pass. and I think that's for a week. So we got unlimited passes just so we could ride the metro around, and that gets you pretty close to anywhere you need to go, and then you can get on the buses if you want to get even closer without having to walk. So we were able to stay with some acquaintances that live in Virginia and then ride the metro in. So your only real expense, if you're trying to do it as cheaply as possible, would be finding somewhere to stay. Because you could buy food, you could bring sandwich stuff or whatever. You could eat more affordably. Everything in DC is more expensive, like buying food there. But if you're trying to do it on a budget, all of what I think would be the best stuff to go for is free. And so you'd have metro passes and trying to find somewhere to stay. I think you should go. As a lover of history or science, there's a lot of very cool stuff there.
I'd probably just get lost in the Smithsonian, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, you could spend... Well, so the Smithsonian... I did not realize this. I thought of the Smithsonian as being sort of one really large entity spread out across a few buildings.
No, it's essentially a complex of museums.
The Smithsonian is... How many buildings? 7, 8 buildings? Like, massive, 3-4 story buildings. You could get lost in the Smithsonian for a week and not see everything there is to see. You could spend an entire day at a building and not see everything. Like, we went to the Natural History Museum, which is, part of the Smithsonian, and we were on the first floor for 4 hours.
Yeah, I have a feeling if Anita went anywhere near the geology department, I may as well just, rule her dead, because I'm never getting her out of there.
Yeah, I would love to spend an entire day at the National Air and Space Museum. We went in the afternoon, and we were there for 4 hours, from 1 p.m. to close, and we saw maybe half of the stuff there. I spent an hour in this exhibit that was about the history of communication. They've got a ton of stuff from the moon landings. The Apollo stuff covers 2 floors.
Damn. Right.
Yeah, and they've got the actual Apollo 11 command module there. They've got one of the Gemini capsules. They've got one of the lunar rover test vehicles. Got to listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson do a thing about the universe. But they had several things. They recently rebuilt the planetarium. I didn't know this. It was the first year that the new planetarium has been open. And it's... The best way I can describe it for anyone listening is it's like you walk into a room that's a 3D... Or, sorry, that's not a 3D. That's a VR headset. Like, because the screen is the entire dome, it feels like you're just inside of... some kind of simulation. It's wild. I've never experienced anything like it. Very cool. Very cool stuff. All right. That's a good bit of Fraken content. I could go on, but we should really also do the show.
Yeah, probably.
All right. You got Audacity up?
Firing it up now because, it's kind of chatting back and forth.
Right.
Oh, good. Audacity is actually on this screen. I'm not having to kind of drag it off. All right, all set, I think. Let me just make sure my settings are right. Check.
Checkity check.
I think there was a dropout at some point. I'm not sure where, so I have a... Oh, hang on, there it is. I have a short dropout of audio at about the 1 hour 1 hour 14 minutes 35 seconds, according to this.
Okay.
I think I was opening up Chrome, and the drivers and stuff are still trying to get used to the new video card. I swear, you change something in a computer, and at least for me, things feel wonky for a bit.
Yeah,
So at least I gave you a timestamp of where to look.
you did. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a. I'm pretty sure it was while you were talking. Uh, so there shouldn't be uh, a issue on me, and it is looks like about 2 seconds long of a gap.
Okay.
So I'm doing my initial save. Uh, remove the drop out because it's not going to post that anyway. It was just a flag.
Ooh, excuse me. Boy, 12:30.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna
I'm
put
glad I don't have anything major planned for tomorrow, dinner wise. Ugh.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I've got tomorrow is work. Um, maybe playing vampire. I mean, if my throat is sore tonight and
Mhm.
I go to work and do therapy all day tomorrow, my voice will be shot. I won't be able to play. So I may or may not be playing tomorrow night. But I mean, other than work, I don't have anything major planned. Really, I don't feel like work is major per se. I just, have to do that. All right. I'll put Craig to bed. Good night, Craig.
Night.